Welcome to ON1, the podcast for tips, tricks, and techniques for the ON1 software community. And here's your host, Scott Kelby.
Well, hi everybody, welcome to ON1, where we look at ON1 software and all the cool stuff that you can do with it. I'm Scott Kelby, and joining me a little bit later is Dan Harlacher from ON1. He's going to show you some cool stuff. I was going to jump right in, but I just want to mention next week, ON1 is holding their own ON1 Conference online. So I believe it's next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And so it's not put on by Kelby One. It is put on by ON1. But I'm going to be teaching there. So I'm going to be doing a class. I'm really excited. So the class I'm teaching at this conference is one on making your photos look more dramatic. So I've got 10 different ways for you to use the ON1 tools to make your stuff look more happening. So that is coming up next week. Go over to on1.com and check it out. So if you're not there, you're square. And that's some new, fresh terminology I've come up with for the young kids today. Be there or be square is what I'm thinking. I'm just workshopping it right now. Anyway. Welcome. Glad to have you here. If you are out there, give me a shout out. Let me know that you're out there. Just drop me a hi or wherever. Let me know where you're from and all that stuff. Today I want to talk about skies. Now, I'm going to touch on sky replacement, but I know that there are some people that are hesitant to replace skies. I don't know why in this day and age we still are, because, I was the last holdout. So I was always real sketchy about replacing skies. Like, I didn't like doing it. I always felt kind of dirty if I did it, One day I'm at the bar talking to a friend of mine, was like world famous landscape photographer, and I'm talking to him, just, regular chat, and I'm like, man, that one shot, you got it. I forget where it was, Monument Valley or whatever, with that amazing sky. And he goes, oh, that wasn't the sky that was there. I dropped that sky in. I'm like, what? And he's like, oh yeah, I dropped my own sky. I wouldn't use that sky that was there. Are you kidding me? I dropped it. I go, do you do this often? I do it all the time. And I was kind of like shattered, I'm like, what? And he goes, so let me ask you a question. You go out on location, you did everything right, you got all your gear, you got up at dawn, you did everything, and you get all set up and you shoot, and there's no clouds in the sky, and so you never show anyone those photos? I said, that's right. And he said, you're an idiot. And so I started asking other photographers about it, and I realized that I was the last person not replacing skies. Now, if that's what you want to do, if you want to replace a sky, it's very easy. Here I am in Photo Raw. We're just going to click on sky, right? It's just called sky. Click on sky, and then we can choose, whatever style you want to match what we have here. Let's do, I guess, just regular clouds would be all right. And it might take you a second to find a sky that looks good, but it automatically masks it for you, as you just saw. So then once you've chosen your category, then you can go over here to sky, and I usually use, I use model A, and then I go through here and find what looks good, and you can just hover your cursor over it for a few seconds. Oh, I kind of like that one. That's not bad. Let's see what we got. Just hover over it for a sec, see what it does. Oh, that one wasn't bad either. And find one that you like. And this is not what we're really talking about today, but I want you to know it's there. Yeah, that kind of moody overcast one's not happening. This one's going to be too light. But it does kind of suit. Look at the light on the buildings right here, right? And that's really not bad. It looks very legitimate there. See if I have any other ones that have a little bit of that late. I would think I would probably maybe go with that one. We're not going to go with that at all, but I just wanted to show you that it is there just in case that is something you care about. But what I want to talk about is, let's say that there is some sky there, but because of the way your sensor works, right? It's not a you problem, it's a sensor problem. So when we're standing in front of this scene of the Pont Neuf Bridge there in Paris, our eyes automatically adjust. We don't sit there and go, man, the sky's all blown out. The sky's not very good. Everything adjusts, but generally your camera sensor is either going to make the sky look properly exposed, or it's going to make the ground and the water and all that look properly exposed, but it doesn't have the range of tones that our eyes do that makes everything in touch. So What my trick generally is you can use an ND filter. We'll talk about that in a minute next. But if you didn't, just simply doing a little tweaking to your existing sky can bring out a sky that your camera did capture, but because of the irregularities of the sensor, it doesn't look the way you want it to. And so the secret basically is we're going to darken the sky, we're going to add some contrast, we're going to pump a little whites in, and then we're going to cheat. And that is, we're going to go to the white balance, and we're going to add a little temperature and tint to make it look the way we want it. So take a look at the image on screen. All right, and so here's what I would do. Let's start with just going to local, and if you notice, there's a little icon here for sky, and we're going to click on that one. Now, this is different than the others, the sky tab. The sky tab is for putting a replacement sky in there. The local tab is for making a mask selection. So we're going to hit sky, and the sky is just about selected. Okay, the sky is selected. You can see the little mask right here. You can see, yep, it masked the sky for us. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to do a couple of different things. I'm going to lower the exposure a little bit and look at the sky. Just by lowering the exposure, look what that did. Just that alone. All right, and you want to see a before and after, you can hit the backslash key, right? The key right under your delete key. Just that. If you did nothing other than that, you've kind of balanced the overall photo, and at that point you could run something like Brilliance AI or whatever to, or just tone the image like you like it. But generally I'll do a few more steps. I'll go and add a little bit of contrast to the sky. I'll go and lower the highlights. And then I kick a little bit of whites in so the clouds don't look too dark. But then where the cheating comes in is when you go down here to color. So to make the sky more interesting, I might drag the temperature slider towards blue, but then raise the tint slider over towards magenta. It just makes your sky look so much more interesting. And then the vibrant slider is going to make the colors more vibrant. Any colors that are dull, it makes them more vibrant, but it doesn't affect the already vibrant ones enough. I mean, that's just seconds we spent on that sky, but look at the difference. So it was there. We didn't add anything. We didn't clone anything. It's not a fake sky. That's the sky that was there. In fact, now that I've done all those things, I think I might have made it a little too dark. There we go. You want to make it somewhat, like that. And again, you could decide to go more towards yellow with the sky, and it gets a little, let's get some of that. You can tweak these colors, whatever looks good to you. That doesn't look too bad right there. It looks like there's a little bit more green in the whole thing, and I'm just trying to match the sky a little bit. And then I would probably brighten up, this area here as well. But we're just talking about sky. So in that context, I think that's a pretty easy way. And let me just undo a couple steps here, and let's go back to where we were. And I'll just show you the split screen before and after. Actually, got to hit that little thing, don't we? Why am I on that tool? There we go. That's pretty good from just doing that, just for making that smaller. Hey, I see some shout outs here. Morning from Las Vegas. Mark saying hi from Vegas. SB says good afternoon from Greenwood, Indiana. Tim saying hi from Orange Beach, Alabama. Roll Tide. Brenda. Hi, Brenda. Brenda is saying hi. She's joining from Sebring, Florida. She goes, I love my ON1, but there's so much to learn how to use it. That's why we have this podcast. Also, there's a lot of tutorials, not just on ON1's site, though there's a lot there, but also on YouTube, and there's some great instructors out there that are teaching it. Ron says hi from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Dave says hi from Big Sky Country. June saying hi Scott in St. Petersburg, right down the road. And then Martin is tuning in from Ireland, saying hi from Ireland. Glad to have you here, Martin. Thanks, everybody. All right, so that's one example. I'm going to give you another one real quick, and I don't want to take up too much time because I know Dan's going to be joining us in a minute. He always has the coolest stuff. Let's look at this one. All right, let's look at this one. All right, so real quickly, I would just do the same thing. Like the water looks okay, and this is, the image could use a little editing, right, to open up the shadows on that castle, but of course that makes my sky even lighter. So I'm going to go to local, we're going to hit sky, and then once it does its thing, give it a sec, and then I'm going to lower the exposure. I'm going to lower the highlights. I'm going to kick up the contrast. It's already looking pretty good. And then I always add a little bit of whites. If you get too crazy, it gets real bright. So I just want to add a little bit. I don't like the clouds to look like rain clouds. And then down to color. And if I push a little purple in there, well, excuse me, a little magenta, maybe a little more blue and a little magenta, it just makes the sky look a little more interesting. And I mean, how much time do we spend on it? But you can see what a difference it made. It's just making for an overall more interesting looking photo. I think it does a pretty great job of that. All right, so now let's talk about neutral gradients, because we haven't talked about that, and then we'll get Dan on here. So let me jump over. Give me 1 second while I jump over to here, and let's see. Oh, June says, I need some serious help with ON1 RAW 2026. Did they change it? June, they made some interface changes, and they're not very big. A lot of the interface changes they made was to make it easier and more clear. And instead of some of the icons just being icons, now they tell you what they are under the icons. So they moved some things around just to make it a little bit better. But don't worry, I'm going to be teaching a landscape class on making landscape more dramatic. So if you can catch that at that conference, but also I'm doing stuff here on the podcast and at Kelby One all the time. So you'll see me using especially effects, which is kind of my main one. John Lanza says, so how does the sky replacement compare between Photoshop and ON1? So they both do a pretty good job of replacing skies, and they both offer you lots of options. ON1's going to offer you more options. It has more depth, but there's something else besides having a lot of great options, like reflections and stuff like that. One of the big things is it comes with so many skies. And there's a company called Occudrone that they have a bunch of skies from Occudrone as well, and the Occudrone skies are fabulous. Now, when you get Photoshop, it comes with a handful of skies, right? And they're so well known that if you use them, people will go on Instagram and go, that's the Photoshop sky. You don't want that. There's so many in the ON1 thing, and they're really good. There's category after category after category, and then all kinds of images in the subset. So it's a more robust tool, and it has a lot more options for you. So that's the difference between the two. They both do a good job. I just prefer the one in ON1. All right, so let's talk about traditional ND filters. Now, some of you have never used these, so I want to just take 2 seconds to talk about them. And I'm going to be quick. So traditional ND filter tries to make up for the problem that I mentioned earlier. Remember I mentioned that your camera's either going to make the sky look good or the foreground look good, and we default to making the foreground look good. Well, so what we would do is we would put an ND filter in front of our lens to darken the sky. So it darkens the sky and then it gradiates to clear. So if you were to look at it, here's what it looks like. It's really dark at the top and then it goes to transparent. Now I didn't make it transparent here just to show you what the filter is going to look like, but when you actually use it on your camera, it is transparent and it looks more like this. See what it did for the sky? See how it goes like a dark blue and then it goes to kind of a little bit lighter blue and then it goes to transparent. So that's what it looks like. So when you do this to your photo, you get that nice rich sky. And you see this in landscape photos all the time. It's widely used. So that being said, let me switch off and I'm going to go over to Photo Raw and I'll just show you how to do that real quick. All right. So we got a very flat looking image here. So you're going to want to kind of first start off by at least choosing a camera profile, or it's a JPEG image, so you're not going to get to choose the camera profile, or hit Brilliance AI, or just do it yourself. What this really needs is some whites and blacks. It's like and open up the shadows a little on that. There we go. It's just kind of flat looking. It's just overall kind of a flat looking image. When you get the rest of the image looking okay, as you can see, the sky does not look very good, which is about right. So what are we going to do for that? Well, you can go to local again and you can hit this brush, all right? And you could paint with a brush tool, right? You could just, here, make the brush bigger and paint with it. But over here, you can choose from different things, and we're going to choose a linear gradient, right? And we'll choose linear gradient bottom here. and you're just going to click the tool in here, and then you can go right down to the adjustments, go to the, you can do it right here in local. Scroll down, and we're going to lower the exposure, and there, look at that. There's your filter, and you can drag this out any way you want it, and you can reposition it. You can rotate it using that little circle, and that. So these are some ways to enhance the skies that you actually already have there. Now, I've gone on longer than I should have, especially when I have like one of the geniuses over at ON1 standing by. Let me see if I can get a hold of Dan. There's Dan. How you doing, Dan?
I'm doing great, Scott. How about you?
I'm doing quite well, actually. And so, Dan, what are you going to show us today? What are we doing?
Well, I was actually going to kind of riff off of what you were just showing with the gradient. This is actually using the photo filter in effects. It's just another way of doing it. And the reason I like to use it is I can set the color too, rather than just darkening it. So if you remember, like the beginning of Top Gun when they're on the aircraft carrier and they had that deep tobacco filter on the sky. This was like a, totally, I can't think of the guy's name. Who was the director of that? Michael Bay. It's like a total Michael Bay with the token, graduated tobacco filter. And, the song is like going in my head right now. The photo filter, you can do solid filters, graduated filters, bi-color graduated filters. Basically all the filters you stick over your lens, you can do in the photo filter. And it's got most of them built in as presets. So I just grabbed the tobacco graduated filter, and at the bottom, you can control, I'm just going to turn the transition to 0 so you can see the hard edge. I'm going to turn the amount up really high so you can see what it's doing. So the distance lets me control where that division line is at, and the rotation, if I wanted to rotate it, I can, and then the transition, how quickly do I want that thing to transition? Of course, I got the amount cranked up really high, but, it's a very quick way to add one of those graduated filters.
Yeah, like that's quick.
Yeah.
That's much quicker than what I did.
Just another way of doing it.
No, I like
that. It's just like Photoshop. There's 17 ways to do it that way.
That's actually very sweet. I like that.
Yeah.
See, I told you Dan was like the genius guy. I told you. I disclaimed it before I brought him on.
I'm going to do a little survey with you guys. So I'm getting into doing digital negatives. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but I want to do alternative processes like cyanotype and things like that. So I'm doing like my first digital negatives where I print them out onto acetate. And if this is something interesting to you guys, maybe we'll do one of these sessions and I'll show you guys how to create your own digital negatives in Photo Raw. So
interesting.
Just put that out there and we'll see what folks say about it, if it's something interesting to them or not. So. Yeah, but anyway, that really wasn't what we were going to talk about today. What I really wanted to show you guys, let me get my head out of the way here, is how to do some basic background replacements. This is a really common topic. People want to replace a background. They want to do it because they shoot in a studio and they just shoot on a wider gray background. They want to have a more interesting looking background, or they're shooting a product and they're trying to, get rid of the ugly background, put a simple background on it for eBay, or they're trying to create a composite. So I'm going to show you a couple quick ways of doing it. And I apologize, I'm not on my normal computer today, so hopefully things will behave correctly. I'm on Windows. I'm going to show you a very quick way to do a background replacement for a studio style shot. So I'm just going to open a photo up. And again, rather than actually doing this with layers, I'm just going to use effects. I'm going to use the texture filter in effects for doing this. So I'm going to go over to the effects tab. I'll click on add filter, and I'm going to pick textures. Now the texture normally is designed for applying a texture across the whole photo. It's kind of for creating a more artistic look, but its secret superpower is that it can do background replacements really easy with it. Two things you need to do background replacements. First thing, you need to add a mask to it. So on the little mask icon right here, I'm just going to right click on that guy and say add a mask to the subject. And boom, there we go. Now it's created a subject mask. Now it's only applying the texture to the background. And then I need to change the mode from subtle to replace. And voila, look at there. I just replaced the background with a concrete wall. Now, the fun thing is now you've got all these different textures you can go shopping for very quickly to find something that you like. One of the recent add-ons that I just added, so everybody who has PhotoRaw 2026, this just came for free in an update last month, are my new Tyler textures. So I moved to a little town called Tyler, Texas, and one of my projects was I wanted to kind of every month go out and do something different because it's not my normal kind of place. I'm used to mountains and streams and fog and things like that, and that's not what I get in Texas. So I'm learning how to create photos in different places in my community. So I put this preset pack together, and this is just me wandering around downtown looking for different stuff that would make fun background. So I could pick a different one that I like from that collection. Here's the interesting thing. When you do a background placement, there's a couple critical things you have to think about. You cannot go from a light background to a dark background and make it look very believable, or vice versa, especially if you have a backlight or a rim light on your subject, if we're talking about people, because their hair is going to glow. So you'll notice in this case, you can see a little bit of a glow on her hair. I'm going to show you two ways to fix that. So the first one is at the mask level. So at the mask level, I can use the refine mask option. Refine mask lets you adjust the levels of the mask or shift the mask edge in or out a little bit. So I can simply, excuse me, grab the shift edge slider and I can move it back or forth. And you can see how that is shifting the mask edge in or out a little bit. Now, if it's a hard edge, this works really well. If it's hair, you have to be a little careful. If I crank it too far, I'm going to lose a lot of those little fine hairs that I might want to have. This is a balancing act where you kind of choose what you want. So that's one way to do it. Let me show you another way. And this is the way that I like to do it. And that's actually to add a local adjustment to that photo. Goodness, I don't know what I ate there. And because there's a mask, it'll only apply it to that specific area. So instead, we can just go to our local adjustments here. And I'm going to add a, add a subject mask to it as well. And I'm just going to invert this guy, so it goes the other direction there, and set it to darken. And now with my brush, I can simply just paint, and it's actually going to darken those little hairs at the edge where the mask is semi-transparent, and that'll help darken it. But I don't have to be super careful about it because the mask is doing all the work of protecting it. Just gives me a quick and dirty way to darken up those hairs a little bit.
Oh, that's good.
Just
that's a
like
good
that.
tip.
So it's a quick and easy way to worry about those flyaway hairs and that little bit of a glow that you can get from them. So anyway, I'll pause here for a second. Anybody have any questions? Or we can jump to the more complex example.
For Dan? And let's start with why did he move to Texas? So start asking those type of questions and ask him if have you been to Buc-ee's yet? Have you been?
Of course. I mean, if you live in Texas, you have to go to Buc-ee's. It's a requirement.
See,
I love
I've seen
Buc-ee's.
pictures and videos. I've never been.
Really? They have Buc-ee's in Florida, don't they?
They do, and they're building a Buc-ee's 2 hours from us, which might make a road trip. I might have to go to the one in Ocala, Florida, which is apparently one they're going to be building. But I'm all about Buc-ee's. All right, something terrible just happened in our studio. Hold on.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, it's just everything went out. We got a question from Mr. Bluehose. Says, is the ON1 package a subscription or is it a one-time purchase?
Either or, whatever you want. So you can buy it as a perpetual license. We will always offer a perpetual license option so that you can just buy it, use it as long as you want. Or you can do a subscription, and there's pros and cons to both. I happen to like the subscription because then I get all the goodies and all the upgrades, and you're just kind of paying one consistent fee every year. The funny thing is most people that buy the perpetual license still end up upgrading every year. So you're basically on a subscription already. So going to the sub, you kind of get all the extra little goodies that come along with it. And I will tell you that as technology advances, especially with AI, more and more of the stuff that we do has to be done in the cloud. And I can foresee the day where some of those cloud-based operations are only going to be available to subscribers as a possibility. So another reason to really think about subscribing rather than being a perpetual owner. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Any more questions? I think that's all we have. So you can roll into the next thing.
Okay.
Dan?
All right. So a lot of people love wildlife, and they shoot especially in game parks, preserves, and zoos, which are not the most authentic looking backgrounds. So I'm going to show you how you can replace the background on a zoo picture. This is a horrible, horrible photo. It's underexposed, off color, not a particularly great photo. I picked it for that reason. So here's kind of what it looks like out of camera. Really yellow. Let's see if we can clean this up a little bit. I'm just going to grab the dropper tool and maybe click on the shadows. Ooh, that didn't do so well. Let's try that again. And we'll move it around until we find one we like. That's not too bad. Maybe a skosh warmer. There we go. Now I want to put him into a better scene. So I'm going to go over to my layers pane over here, and I need to get rid of that ugly background. So I'm just going to right click on the mask, and I'm going to say add a mask to the background. Zonk. There we go. Background gone. Now we got to go find a new, better background for it. So in the layers pane, I'm just going to click the plus button. It's going to tell me, hey, this is going to create a new layered file. Keep in mind that in Photo Raw, we have our own proprietary format when you create layered files so that each individual layer is still a raw photo. You still have the full raw data all the way back to the linear raw so that you can always reprocess it. That way, it creates its own proprietary format so that we can maintain that. If we didn't do that, each time you create a layer, it would be kind of a cooked version of the raw, and you'd lose some of that highlighter shadow flexibility. So this doesn't do that. And it takes me to the add folder dialog, or add layer as file dialog. And this lets me browse wherever I'm at. It happened to remember, hey, I'm in an album, so I'm going to go grab a photo. Let's grab this one. You're probably asking yourself, why on earth did he grab that photo? That doesn't work very well, but it's the photo that I had that actually had this really nice jungle at the top. I don't care about her. I'm just going to get rid of her altogether. So I'm just going to grab the side, and I'm just going to scale this way bigger and move her so that she's kind of down where the monkey's going to end up covering her up anyway. There we go. And now the trick is I'm just going to switch the layer order. I'm just going to drag this from the top to the bottom. There we go. Monkey on top. Now, because each of these are individual layers, I can manipulate them independently from each other. So let's say that background is a little too in focus for me. So I'll just go over to the Effects tab, and let's blur it using a lens blur. Let's go add lens blur. There we go. I like lens blur because it's the most realistic looking blur for creating more of an out of focus bokeh look. There we go. I can control how much it blurs, how much it blooms, the overall brightness of the scene. Maybe I want it to be a little bit darker. There we go. And then up on our primate at the top here, I can make adjustments to make it fit in the photo better. So again, you notice a little bit of the halo around the edge. We could use either of those two tricks that I showed you. We're just going to use the refine mask option for this one. So I'm just going to right click on the layer, select refine mask, and it brings up that refine mask dialog. And then I just use the shift edge command to move that in and out.
Yeah, that shift edge one that's what I use if I see a glow. That thing works great.
Yeah. And as long as you're not super worried about thin little hairs and things like this, I don't care about the hairy monkey. He's fine to get a little bit of a haircut. There we go. And then, color-wise, we could certainly make our monkey look a little bit better. I'm going to add a little bit of black so that we can bring up our contrast a little bit, and then kind of monkey with the color. Come on, Scott. That was just for you. There you go. All right. So there you go. We were able to take our monkey out of this awful-looking zoo scene and put him into the jungle. So there you go. Cool. Questions? Thoughts?
No questions, no thoughts. I see our moderator has just gone to get drinks. So so that was unexpected to look over there and there's no one there. And I see the refrigerator open across the studio, and he's making cocktails. So
I think we're on our own here, Scott.
Unexpected. It's just you and me. All right. Did you have anything else, or are we set?
That's what I got for you guys today.
Good, because we're out of time.
We're out of time. Monday. So not only is Monday the beginning of the conference, but there'll be an update coming on Tuesday, I think, with some new goodies that I'm not going to tell you about, because it'd be more fun to wait till Tuesday and see what they are.
Oh, nice. All right. Well, Dan, thank you so much. I appreciate you dropping in and sharing that. I'm going to wrap up with, we like to share a photographer, and I don't know if you're familiar with her, Dan, as well. She's a terrific landscape and travel photographer, Sapna Reddy. So it's SAPNA REDDY, Sapna. So her first name is Sapna, SAPNA Reddy. And she is a doctor, but she is also a very good photographer. I mean, look at some of these images, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was following her. She does beautiful work.
Yeah, she does. And she's actually training for us at Kelby 1 now.
Cool.
I ran into her when she was speaking at a conference that I was speaking at, and afterwards I'm like, we got to work together. We got to get you showing how to do this stuff. Look at this shot. I mean, these are just beautiful work all the way around. Let me go back and see a few I missed here. Look at that. Wow. She makes great use of atmosphere. Like there's a lot of, clouds and like, look at the beams of light here. Isn't that something? That's out in California. And that was published in Popular Photography and Landscape Photography magazine and Outdoor Photographer. Yeah, that's a heck of a shot. Oh, look at this one.
Can't fake that stuff. You got to earn that stuff. Hey, that's Caddo Lake. It's right over where I live.
Yeah? In Texas?
Yep. It's in Texas, about
there's
an
no
hour
lakes in
away.
Texas?
I can't wait
It's
to
a
go there in the
vast
fall.
prairie. Anyway, look at this one too. Wow, she's quite good, right? Anyway, check her out. That's Sapnareddy, Sapnareddy. Well, thank you all for stopping in and checking out. Obviously, next week is the conference, so go make sure you go to on1.com and find out how to get signed up for that. And I'll be teaching that class on creating dramatic effects for landscape images. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a great conference, and there's a lot of great instructors, so go make sure you check that out, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much, everybody. Thanks to Dan. Take care.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.